So I read this book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and it's completely changed my perspective on thinking. And I feel like it's given me a superpower. Let me explain. So, who was Marcus Aurelius? Essentially, he was the last great Roman emperor, right before Rome pretty much collapsed. He was basically the guy holding it all together for the last possible second. His rule was completely marked by wars. In fact, after winning one of the wars, all the returning Roman soldiers who were victorious came back with a massive plague that spread out through the entire empire, causing a massive economic collapse and a lot of death, which oddly sounds familiar. Anyway, he had a tough life. And this book is basically his notebook, where he would write daily affirmations, his viewpoints on life, his struggles throughout a normal day, including encouragements for himself, like, yes, you can, get through today, just do it, be a good person. And it's such a fascinating read because it's essentially paragraph after paragraph of just deep introspective thoughts that this guy just wanted to talk himself through. And it's super fascinating because it's not in any order, and it's really a clear perspective of how he thought. He didn't write this for anyone except himself. In fact, he wrote it in Greek instead of Latin, which was the main language at the time. So basically, it's just a journal of his daily thoughts put on display for all of us to read today and learn from. I should also mention that he is greatly influenced by all the Stoic philosophy that came before him, and it's genuinely shaped everything he thinks about. Like, one of the themes that he talks about is the nature of the universe, and he came to the conclusion the universe is change, and our life is merely perception, meaning everything in the universe changes. The animals, life, plants, humans. Just look outside and it doesn't take too long for you to realize that everything is constantly changing and moving. And how we take that change is based on our thoughts about it and our opinions, based on the change that is occurring. Are we feeling good today? Oh, the sun's out, so yeah, I feel happy. I'm feeling pretty bad. It's pretty cloudy and rainy. Which completely is based around our opinion of what's occurring outside and what's the changes that are happening. Kind of an interesting perspective. Everything we see in this world is kind of amazing, right? We see plants, animals, ecosystems that are all constantly changing. And we're only a small, tiny perspective of it, especially if you look at the solar system or the stars. You realize how insignificant we are. So the universe is massive. We're a mere part of it. What leads next is Marcus's thoughts on the role of the individual. Okay, so the individual's role in this world. Marcus kind of decided you should only have one individual role, and that's to be a good human being. That's all we have to do. We're human beings in this universe. That means we should be virtuous, kind, and help as many people and leave an impact on the world that's at least positive with all the bad stuff that's going on. Try to be a good person. Isn't that kind of simple, kind of easy? And that's kind of the phrase where treat others the way you wish to be treated. I mean, other people are human beings too. How would you want to be treated? As a human being? As a good human being, right? You want to be treated kindly. So that's what you should be trying to do. Be a good person. Revolutionary, I know. Another thing he brings up is good versus bad people, right? Being a good person is simple to figure out. All you have to do is think in your head, okay, what can I do to benefit this other person? What can I do to benefit them rather than just benefit me? Now, if you meet people in your life, which you're gonna, that are gonna take advantage of you, take advantage of others, you need to understand, listen, you and me, we're humans, right? We're human beings who need to be taught how to be a good person, how to help others, how to be more beneficial to other people. It's not the fault of the person who doesn't do that and in fact takes advantage of you. It's not their fault. The best way to go about it is just to assume, well, they weren't taught right. And that doesn't mean that they're a bad person in general. They are good. Every person's a good person at the soul. They just don't understand how to be a good person necessarily. So look at it like this. A child who doesn't share their toys, does that mean that child is a bad person? No. That means that child has not been taught correctly by their parents to share or be a good person. It's exactly how humans are. We try to figure things out. Every day, we're always learning something new. We shouldn't judge people based on the actions they do and just hold them accountable and write them off as a bad person in general. But we can educate the person on, hey, what you did to me was kind of mean and I took offense to it. And I think if you went about it this way instead of that way, I would have been more okay with it. Simple perception change of how you interact with jerks. Kind of cool. And honestly, don't hold grudges against people. You know why? Because you're gonna die one day. You could die any moment. That's another thing Marcus Aurelius brought, especially back in the Roman times. Oh my gosh. Death was always around the corner. So that's why you should treat every single action that you do on a day-to-day basis as this could be the last thing I do. Are you gonna do it haphazardly? Are you gonna do it half-assed? No, you're gonna take your time, you're gonna make sure it's done well. Now, just because you're taking your time, making sure it does well, doesn't mean you need to do every single thing that you think you should be doing. In fact, always reassess. Marcus always said, don't waste your time because we're gonna die soon. You have to constantly ask yourself, is this necessary? Am I supposed to be doing this? Are we wasting our time? Do I need to be doing this exact task right now? Could my time be spent elsewhere? Could my time and effort be used more effectively in another area or on another task? And the reason why this is fantastic and a great question to ask is because the less we do, the more time we have to make sure we do those tasks better. If you set out a task list for the day, is it better to do 20 things or just 3? You know, you're gonna have the same amount of time to do those 20 things, or you can just do 3 of them, spend the same amount of time, and make all 3 of those tasks the best possible tasks you've ever done in your life. Kind of genius. Another thing to think about when dealing with death here is that every individual kind of has a feeling like, oh, I need to leave a legacy on this earth. I need to care about how I'm perceived, or I need to be immortalized in this world. And one of the most fascinating passages in Meditations was when Marcus kind of got annoyed about that, about people who care so much about how they're viewed after they're dead, right? They care about their legacy. He thought it was ludicrous. Why would anybody care about that? Why would you care about how people perceive you after death? Because eventually those people are gonna die too. Those people who knew about you and those people who knew about you they're all gonna be gone. And they will also be forgotten. And what's interesting about that passage is because right under it, he makes one statement because he realized, well, this anger is kind of irrational. Why am I having this perception of why am I just so annoyed at people who do this? Well, he changed it because he realized he himself had learned so much about people who came before him. So he decided to say, well, let me add a caveat to that, because you are unaware of what words will do and how it will change a person in the future's perspective on life. You could still have an impact on a person in the future just based on your words. He kind of backpedals with that whole viewpoint. It's a fascinating take, and you really get to see his viewpoints, and he challenges himself in this book constantly. Okay, now we have to talk about amor fati, which basically translates to love of fate. One of my favorite sayings of all time, because it essentially means, hey, you just gotta love fate. Whatever happens, happens for a reason, and just accept it. And it's a complete perception change if you just accept, well, fate made this happen, so I gotta just go with it. You know, make the best situation out of obstacles. If an obstacle is in your way, then you gotta go through that obstacle. That's now the way. Just get it done. Fate is like fire, completely uncontrollable. It's completely up to fate. And you just have to go with it and accept it and love it. Because fate's funny. You think you're gonna have this kind of life, and then all of a sudden, fate just goes, nope, bad thing just happened to you. Well, now that goal is kind of out of the way, or it's gonna be harder to get to. Okay, so all this is great, but here are the core beliefs that are technically Stoic philosophy in a nutshell, which is will, action, and perception. The main will that you should have is to be a good person. An event occurs, I need to be a good person during this time, in this event. Then you have the action. What did you do to be a good person? What is the action that a good person should do at this moment? Then, and you need to make sure that your perception of the event is not irrational. If it's raining outside, you can go, oh man, this is terrible. This is the worst day ever. I was supposed to go running outside today and, well, it's raining. And now I can't go outside without getting wet. Or you can have a shift change and go, well, hey, it's raining, plants outside need water. This is gonna benefit so many animals. This is gonna benefit so many other living things in this world. Just because it ruined my day a little bit, I can figure out something else. Good. I can't run outside today. Guess I'm just gonna do some jumping jacks. The main core, the base core of this is your perception of things. You have to change your perception. And what does that mean? You have to constantly monitor your own thoughts on a daily basis. Why do you feel this way towards this person? Why did you just instantly get mad at this specific event that happened? You need to change your perception of why you looked at that immediately. Like, bad. This is terrible. No, change your perception. You're gonna immediately think, that ticks me off. But then you have to go, wait, nope, change my perception. What's the benefit of that thing that just happened? Why is that a good thing now? Change your perception to make everything look better. And that's the superpower. Make everything feel like, okay, hold on, this is bad? No, it's not. It's good. It's in fact great, because now I can do things better. I'm gonna be a better person because of this. Now, I need to train myself to think about this. What is the proper action I should take if I wanna be a good person? Always keep that will in check. What's your will as an individual? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? And also, remember, it doesn't really matter because we're all stuck on a floating rock in space. So, don't take it too seriously. We're all gonna die. You're not gonna be remembered. You shouldn't care to be remembered. Because as long as we're all happy living on a floating rock in space, that's the best we can do. Let's talk about fate a little bit more. Fate is like fire. You can get scared of it, be worried about it, like, oh no, what if this doesn't go my way? What if this doesn't go my way? Or you can embrace fate and just love it. And if you can do that, whatever fate gives you, you can use it to your advantage. Make a giant ball of fire. Preparation and flexibility. Life can be great on this floating rock in space. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.